Hello, my name is Joji and this is a nighttime edition of my knitting journal, just because if I don't record at night it looks like I will never ever record the journal again. So today is Tuesday, October 15. I am almost ready to go to bed. It's 11 p.m. But I wanted to do this before going to bed. I'm wearing my pajamas, as you can see, and this is a very natural version of me. And I'm really happy to be recording so that I can share a little bit of the things that I've been working on, the things that have been happening here at home. And hopefully next time I can show you new things. I haven't been knitting much lately. I don't know why. I feel like I always want to knit. I feel like I always look for time for knitting, but honestly I haven't been making almost any progress on anything that I've been working on. So I don't know what's going on. But I have been trying to knit. I think I have just been working on other projects, and anyway. So today is Tuesday, as I said. It's very late, and tomorrow, Wednesday, in the afternoon, my husband Charlie and I are going to Madrid. Just the two of us. We're going to go on a couple's trip for a very short trip. We're only staying in Madrid for 4 nights and then flying back home, but we're really excited. Charlie's best friend and former business partner moved to Madrid last May, so we were both really close friends with him and his wife, and we both miss them very much, so we decided to do like a little couples getaway. We asked our parents if they could take care of our children, and we're going for 5 days. So that's what I've been working towards. I've been trying to finish a lot of projects that I had at home, and with the bag business I have been trying to finalize a lot of orders in order to leave the house in order. So first I want to talk to you about the pattern that I released today. I think that somehow maybe publishing a pattern really pushes me to record a journal, because if you remember, if you perhaps watched the first journals that I recorded, I was telling you how I often feel that a post or a pattern description on Ravelry is very short, that I always have a lot more to tell about everything that I work on. So I thought, okay, this is a new pattern, perhaps it's a new opportunity to chat with everyone out there on YouTube and tell them what this pattern is like and what is special about it. So today's pattern release is this pullover I'm holding here. It's called the Cedar Pullover, and as you can see it's very drapey, and that's because it's made out of linen. I find that any linen that I have ever worked with is as drapey as this one. For my sample I use Shibui linen. Their linen base is called Reed, and it's a fingering weight yarn, and I'll tell you the story about this pattern again. I already told it, but the thing about this pattern is that I had to make something quick and I didn't have a lot of time, so I figured that being that I'm a rather slow knitter, if I was going to knit a whole sweater, I was never going to achieve it using this yarn single-stranded. So I decided to double-strand it, and it was a really good idea because the gauge for this sweater is 19, and therefore you can use I use 3.75, you can use 4mm needles. I'm just saying that probably this stitch became stretched out at some point. Don't look at that. Let's not look at that. But yeah, so I used 3.75 needles because I also found that linen has a tendency to stretch a lot, and even though I could have used maybe 4 or 4.5mm needles for these two strands held together, perhaps that would have caused the sweater to stretch too much, for the stitches to open too much. So, okay, this is a circular yoke sweater. It's worked from the top down. It's completely seamless. It has some short rows here that make the back a little bit higher so that the neckline sits a little bit lower like this on the hanger. And what else? It has a twisted rib band for the neckline. I think it gives a nice decorative look. And then it has, these are just rows of twisted stitches. You have to twist the stitches over like a really tiny cable over and over again all across the row, and that is what basically makes this pattern, the repeat for this pattern. But here at the bottom it has this beautiful lace edging that really makes it stand out. It's really easy to work. If you have worked lace before, you will have no problems working this sweater. I don't know if I will recommend it as a beginner sweater pattern, because there are some difficult stitches that are twisted ribbing, so you have to knit through the back loop and purl through the back loop, and then perhaps you have a hard time doing these twisted stitches, although they are really easy. And definitely you have to know how to do a yarn over, a knit two together, and an SSK for the bottom ribbing. The instructions are both charted and written. And yeah, so as usually my sizes are from extra small to 5 extra large. And I think that's it. So this pattern is called Cedar, and I named it Cedar because this is a pattern that I designed in honor of my friend Joji from the Grocery Girls. So last June, Tracy, Joji's sister, emailed me or texted me asking if I thought it was okay for her to knit one of my patterns that I was about to release for Joji's birthday. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry. So she could surprise her. And I said, well, I was planning to actually release that pattern before her birthday. So I think that actually by the time her birthday arrives, maybe several people are going to have it, and therefore it's not going to be such a surprise. So I think this was around May, and Joji's birthday was towards the end of July. So I still had 2 months, and I said, do you want me to design something for her that you can knit and give to her for her birthday? Because I really love both of these ladies. And so we decided to do that. I had some Shibui Reed at home, and we arranged for Tracy to also have her yarn delivered for Joji, and I started knitting. But it was a really, really busy time. And at the same time, Joji, the birthday girl, asked me to come to Michigan to surprise Tracy for her birthday, which was actually before all of this was going to happen. So I was surprising both of them at the same time. It was a really fun time for me, but I was very scared that that I would ruin the surprise somehow for either of them, or that I wouldn't make it in time. And if I made it in time, I was very scared that Tracy was not going to make it in time, because I had to finish my sample, then write it, and then Tracy had to knit one for Joji. Well, it worked out. Tracy knitted like the wind. I think she knit non-stop for like 2 weeks. Maybe she got a sore arm or something. She was amazing. She test knit for me this sweater actually for her sister's birthday, and we were able to surprise Joji for her birthday. Unfortunately, I was not quick enough to have a finished pattern so that we could actually publish a pattern by the time this all happened, which would have been great, because they were talking about the pattern and I didn't have a pattern ready. And also this was made using a summer fiber, and now in most regions, like not in most, but in most of the regions where the knitters are, it's kind of coming to the winter. In South America, we are coming to summer, so this is very timely. And I know you guys in Australia also are coming to the summer, Australia and New Zealand and everyone else over there, South Africa. Well, all of my buddies in the southern hemisphere, we are approaching spring. Well, we are in spring and approaching summer, but the majority of the knitting world is approaching the fall. So it could have been a bit more timely to publish this a little bit sooner. But I am going to say that please go check out the test knits made by my friends and my fabulous test knitters. Most of them did not use linen, and they have amazing samples to show in all kinds of fibers like merino mohair. You can tell it's a nighttime. So I think it's a great pattern for any kind of yarn. Since I use 2 strands of fingering weight to achieve a Tieke weight, a lot of my test knitters also did that. They combine fibers to achieve different yarn combinations. So I think it's a very versatile pattern. You can use 2 strands of fingering weight or just 1 strand of Tieke. The different yardages are listed in the pattern, and yeah, that's it. The pattern is with a 25% discount for this entire week. My usual pattern prices are $6.50. So you get that price plus a 25% discount. So yeah, thanks for checking that out if you can. And then I'll tell you what I've been working on. So the first thing I want to show you is a pair of socks that I started now for the second time. So I am using this yarn. The light is not great, but it's not bad either. So it's showing pretty well. There are some shadows, but I think you can see the yarn color pretty well. And the yarn that I'm using is by Chileknitz. And this is a friend of mine. She's a dyer from Chile, from the city of Santiago or the Santiago area. And she has come to Argentina a couple of times. We have connected here. She has also been to Barcelona when I was working there, and she actually gifted me this yarn when we met in Barcelona. It's gray. Let's see. There you go. It's gray with some pink and orange speckles, and like it's not gray. It's not speckle gray. It's a more like a tonal and variegated. It's a variegated yarn. There are sections that are pink and sections that are gray. Her base is Nube Fingering, 100% superwash merino, 438 yards, and this colorway is called Fireworks. And I really wanted to design something with Connie's yarn because she has gifted me with her yarn a few times now, and even though I know that I have no commitment to work with her yarn, I also have been trying to really promote Latin American buddies. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start a new pair of socks. I might as well use some of Connie's yarn. No, it wasn't like that. I thought, oh, I want to knit with this yarn, and I'm going to make a pair of socks. And then I thought, oh, but Connie made this yarn. If I make a design, it might be good for her business. So I tried to start making a design out of it. And I posted some images of this yesterday to my stories, but the yarn is too variegated. So I had started a nice like texture and lace pattern, but you really couldn't see anything of all of the stitch pattern that I was making. So sadly, sometimes I have to decide that perhaps some yarn is not great for me to use as a new design yarn, and perhaps this yarn is just meant for me to wear on my feet because I really love it and I really want to make this pair of socks. So I am making a plain vanilla sock. I made a twisted ribbing and then I'm just doing stockinette stitch, and I think it's looking fantastic and it looks so much better than my attempt to do a stitch pattern. I don't know if it shows so well, but I hope it does because it's so pretty. Maybe it looks more muted than it is. It's gray with different shades of gray, and it's pink, and it has these neon orange speckles that are really pretty. So I have decided to just keep these socks for myself. These are going to come with me on the trip to Madrid, and they are going to walk the streets of Madrid with me. Funny story, I'm using this as my preferred sock sack or sock project bag because check it out, it works so well. It has the perfect size, and also it just stays like this because it has this beautiful base, and you wonder who made this genius project bag. Did I make this genius project bag? No. This genius project bag is my lens bag from Canon, and I think probably many other makes make a similar lens bag for their lenses, and I really like it. I don't need this bag because I have a nice camera bag that has compartments for all my lenses, and they are very secure there. So I had this lens bag just lying around, and I almost like throw it away or like pass it along to someone who might use it. And then I thought, no, wait, I can fit my sock projects inside here. So actually I have been using this for my socks for a long time now. And then at the beginning of this year, when we started our little bag company, we had our BA bag and we were working on a couple of other things, but I kept telling my friends who make the bags that I really wanted a sock bag, and I really wanted a sock bag that looked exactly like this one. So I don't have that failed prototype with me, but I drew what I wanted. I gave them this bag, and what I wanted was a base made in the vaqueta leather, which is the natural leather that kind of gets stained. And then I wanted the top part to be in all of our colors of suede, and then a drawstring like this, but maybe a longer one that I can kind of carry as a shoulder bag or like a messenger bag. I don't know. We were going to plan it, but the first thing we needed to do was to create this bag. And well, of course, this isn't leather. The material in the lens bag it feels like suede. It really does feel like suede, but it's definitely not. It's a synthetic material that it's very beautiful. But I don't think that we can source this Argentine made. It looks like an imported material, and I don't know that I want to use this for our bags yet. Maybe I should have. I would rather not. So what happened? They made the bag, but they lined it, and of course the suede we'd use is much thicker than this one. And so they lined it, and there was a thick seam here with a cemented seam, and they put the drawstrings through, and when we tried to like actually gather it, it was not gathering. It was staying like this. It was not going anywhere. So we actually need the bag to do this so that our socks and needles don't fall down. The bottom of the bag looks beautiful, and the bottom of our bag looks really beautiful in the leather. This is of course like a fake leather. But we couldn't make it work. We couldn't make it work yet. And yes, we could try a different type of closure. We could try something that did something like that, for example. But for some reason, I'm always very drawn to a drawstring. So we'll have to keep experimenting. I wonder what would happen if we have them unlined, because this one is unlined actually. It's unlined, and then you can see the union with the plastic leather underneath. Anyway, rambling about bags, but I think that this bag is so nice. If you have a lens bag lying around, give it a try. For me, like you can see size reference with my head, it's a perfect sock sack. And then what else am I working on? I am working on 2 designs that I cannot share because they are going to be for 2 publications, and there's some confidentiality issues, so I cannot share that with you. But I am repairing the bottom hem of my Easy One pullover. This is an old design from beginning of 2018, and I wanted to carry this sweater tomorrow because I think it's so comfortable to wear. But I noticed that the bottom rows of my bind off had been torn, so I unraveled it and I picked up the stitches. And also I noticed that now this is Brooklyn Tweed Loft. It's so blocked, and it's so like, how can I say this in English? I think that the yarn is so used to this state that I don't need the ribbing anymore for it to not roll. So I don't think I'm going to complete the ribbing. I think I'm just going to bind off. I frogged a few rows, so I think I'm just going to bind off there. I'm just going to leave a tiny bit of ribbing that's left over, and I'm not going to care about it because I want this to be ready for tomorrow. So I'm just going to, I just pick up the stitches all around the sweater, and I'm just going to bind off. Then I've been working on the blue sweater that I think I showed you a couple of times already, but I haven't been working on this for 2 weeks, more or less. So what happened with this sweater? I think I have reached a point where I have to actually give this sweater some shaping. I think I told you I'm working in this in a crazy direction type of way. And so I've been too lazy to do the math to learn how many stitches I need to bind off and all that stuff. So yeah, it's basically waiting for me to do the math. And as I was doing the math, Madeline Tosh let me know that they are discontinuing this specific yarn, which is a bummer because they had just released it when I got it. So I'm like, but why? I was designing with it. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead. Let me know what you think. I've knitted a lot with this yarn. I think it's really pretty. I think the color is really pretty. And I think that if this yarn is discontinued, I can just say, you know, replace with any fingering weighted yarn in a single ply. So for those who don't know, this is Tosh Tweed, or this was Tosh Tweed. I still don't know if they really discontinued it, but they are the ones who told me they are discontinuing this yarn and another 2 bases that I don't remember which are. And so it's a single ply fingering weight yarn that has merino and these little nubs, Donegal tweed nubs. And yeah, so I think that the nubs are made out of viscose, so they don't take the dye and they always look like this brownish, whoops, sorry, like these brownish speckles that you see here and there. But honestly, this knits up as any fingering weight yarn. So I think it's safe for me to say go ahead and use the yarn that you have and don't waste your knitting and your yarn. Like, we can all agree that it's okay. Because that piece of knitting took me a really long time. Anyway, I'm not going to take this knitting with me, so I'm not going to bother doing the math before leaving. Because the lace that I'm using is kind of complicated and I have to be looking at the chart. So I'm just going to hold this until I come back. This is living in one of our daily bags. These are the container bags that we use to ship our larger project bags, like the Esse Tote and the Ush Weekender. So our daily bags are made out of really thick canvas. As you can see, it's really sturdy, and they have a little leather tag with our logo, and then a cotton, how do you call this, webbing handle. And initially, so for this batch we had the idea of using leather, not these, but like real leather drawstrings, but the leather that we sourced, that was what we could afford to add as a packaging bag, is actually very frail. And after we made the bags, or after we had the bags made for us, a lot of these strings just snapped and broke. So I'm trying not to stress about it, because you know, the bag is included, it's just part of our packaging. And I replaced mine with just a little cord. It can be replaced with a sturdier kind of leather, ribbon, a cotton cord like the type that you would use for macrame, or anything that you fancy adding to our drawstring. What I love about our daily bag is that they fit well. I can do a better job actually placing my needles inside my bag, but if they fit my straight needles, I use 16 centimeters, 16 inch, 40 centimeter needles, and they fit super well, which doesn't happen with most project bags that I own. So that makes me happy. And yeah, and so the other project that I'm taking to Spain, apart from my socks, is a sweater that I'm designing for one of the magazines. I have a deadline, and even though it has a charted pattern, I have memorized it, so I feel safe bringing that with me. It's really light also, and I have a long way to go, so I think it's going to be just perfect. So that's what I'm working on now. It's not a lot, but it's not a lot because I just finished a project that I can show you. So this was a project that I started because I actually went on another trip at the beginning of October. So 2 weeks ago, I received a visit from Finland, my friend Jonna, the editor of Line magazine. She's a close friend of mine, and she came home and stayed with us for about 10 days. And within that time, we went to one of Argentina's most famous touristic attractions, the Iguazu Falls, or in Spanish, Cataratas del Iguazu. And well, I was working on these two designs for the magazines, and I was trying to start the socks that I showed you that I ended up frogging. And the blue sweater was also, I think I was already not working on the blue sweater anymore, so I decided to cast on a new shawl. And I thought, okay, I want something super simple. I don't even know if I'm going to make a pattern out of this. I just want a project to bring with me to the falls so that I can knit while Yona and I are chatting and having a drink, or on the plane, or even walking. I wanted something really basic. So I designed a very simple shawl. It has two colors. So the body of the shawl is just a garter stitched triangle. And then I wanted a contrasting border. So there's a little bit more work here. There are some fan stitches. You can see what's happening there. And I love this stitch pattern so much. So there you see. I wanted something simple that only requires attention towards the end to make it special, but I didn't want something that is overly complicated all around the body. I wanted something that I could really relax with while knitting. So this has just been bound off. As you can see, it's not blocked. I expect this to grow quite a bit, but I didn't want it to be huge. So if you see, I love the contrasting edge, because when you tie it, you get the black band like that, and I think it looks super cool, even though it's really easy. So for this design, I used two different yarns by two different companies. So The yellow yarn that everyone loved is by Garn Stories. They are both German companies, and I picked these two yarns. I bought them when I was working in Berlin Knits Festival. So they were both vendors at the show. This is Garn Stories, and it's a golden yellow yarn. Sorry, bad light, but I think you get the idea. So it's golden yellow with black speckles, and well, there are other colors, but I think that with this border, what shows off the most are the black speckles, and then of course the black. Oh, what a wonderful black! Let me tell you, it's not easy to find a black that is really, really almost black. This is a wonderful black, and I didn't save the tag for the Garn Stories, but I did save the tag for this. This is Tieke, Wolle, Tieke, Garn and Wolle, and the color is called Black Magic. I love it. So as you can see, probably I used about a skein and a half of the yellow and about a third of a skein or a quarter of a skein. I'm going to, of course, weigh this to let you know in the pattern exactly how much I used of each of these two colors. But I think it's a perfect size. Sometimes I don't want to be, you know, guys, I love a big shawl. I really love a big shawl. But sometimes I don't want to be carrying a big shawl. I just want to throw something in my bag and like have something just to cover my neck, over my jacket or something. So I am going to block this when I return, because otherwise I would have to use our guest room's bed to block this shawl, and my mom wouldn't have a place to sleep while she's babysitting our kids. So that's going to be blocked as soon as I return. This was living in my beloved BA bag that I keep showing you. I don't own many of my products. So right now I own 4. I have this. This is the BA bag. I have a needle wallet that I showed you last journal. This is my rejected prototype because I sold all the definitive ones, and this is just as good. I just didn't like the white stitching for our product line. I have the daily bag, which is very basic and daily, and I love it. And I have a little pouch that is a little notions pouch that is a special edition, and I cannot show you because I think that you guys will really like it, and I cannot give it to you yet. So, but yeah, I don't have a ton of my products. I feel very guilty keeping one of them. I usually keep things that break or that don't surpass our quality check or that are rejected. And also it feels kind of weird to use things that have your name engraved on them. I don't know, there's something kind of maybe a little bit narcissistic about it that I still cannot completely get over. But yes, this one, my favorite. So my BA bag, as you can see, it's now very old. It has a lovely patina over the tag and over the handle. And this bag has now 7 months of continuous use. dirty because I am not delicate with her. She literally lives on the floor. I just throw her. Anyway, I love my beer bag. Okay, and I have another finished object, and it's my pair of alpaca socks. I've been waiting to show you so that I can actually wear this, because I know that as soon as I start wearing them, they will get really fuzzy and you won't be able to see. So maybe it was last journal that I was talking about how I wanted to make myself a new pair of alpaca socks, because I own already a pair and I love them, and they have turned out really great for me. So I finished them. These were made using Frog Tree Alpaca, 100% alpaca. This is a discontinued yarn. I didn't mix it with any nylon. I didn't reinforce anything. I just find alpaca is very long lasting. It just gets super fluffy. This ribbing, you won't be able to see that so well. As soon as I start wearing them, the heels will get super fluffy. Like you can already see they're kind of felting. They will really felt, but I think that only makes them better. The other pair that I own, I've owned it for 4 and some years now, maybe almost 5 years. So, and they are like in really good condition. The only thing, and I mentioned last time, the only thing that got a hole in my old pair was one of the toes, and it's actually for that pair I had made the toes in a contrasting color, in a contrasting yarn that was actually merino nylon. So the merino nylon got the hole and the alpaca was intact. So here they are. I have no pattern for this. I don't really remember how many stitches I cast on. I think I mentioned it on the previous journal if you want to go check. And yeah, so this is my other finished object, and that's why I was able to start a new pair of socks using Connie's yarn. I have a couple of things to show you that I received. So my friend Yona, when she came, she brought this beautiful Marimekko canvas kind of basket, project bag, handbag or purse, I don't know. I think that you can use it as many things. I think I'll definitely use this as a project bag. I think it has the perfect shape and structure. And also, one of the nights that Yona was here, I received at home Ceci from Manos del Uruguay. So I know I talk about Manos yarn a lot. I love them very much. I think they're a fabulous and fantastic company, a fantabulous company. But also I'm very fond of Ceci, who is the manager of their yarn division. We are really close friends. And she came over for dinner with her sister, and Charlie made a barbecue, and she brought some yarn that Manos is about to release. So the yarn is called Alpaca Heather. It's a 70% wool, 30% alpaca blend. And what I love about this yarn is the color palette that she picked. So these are just some of the colors that they have for this palette. It's a very autumnal palette, as you can see. It's very pretty. Sorry, super bad light. But you're not here for the good light, right? Right? you're here because you like to listen to me ramble. So thank you for that. So yeah, she brought a full palette with blues and yellows, but those were taken by my friend Carla. She's working on a design for them, and I kept the sort of reds and pinks, and Yona took half of those, and so I was left with all these balls, and I don't have the tags anymore, so I wouldn't know what the colors are, but it's lovely. And I do have a full skein of their gray, so that would be enough for a hat. And I have this big skein, which is maybe how they dye their yarn, and then they fraction this. So this is a really big skein, might be about 300 grams of their alpaca heather in their colorway beige. So yeah, it's really nice, and I think I might like to do something with the little bits that were left at home. None of that yarn was supposed to be for me. Some of it was for Yona to take, some of this was for Carla to take, but I kept all the things that they didn't want to take. So I really like it. And lastly, I am going to show you my makes for pottery for last week. So the first one, I have to plant this one better, of course. It's still in its original container from the plant shop, but I made this little abstract art plant pot. It's a plant pot. I made the proper hole so that my plant can drain its water, and we call this flower Federal Star, Estrella Federal, and plant shops always bring them close to Christmas, so I suppose that we're. And the other thing that I made is this bowl, which is my current favorite, and guys, I gift everything I make, but every now and then I fall in love with something that I make, which is not very usual, but I say, I am going to keep this. This is mine for me to keep. I'm usually, whenever I create something, I say, this is yours for you to keep. I just really love this one. If I had known I was going to keep it, I probably wouldn't have signed it, because again, I have that sort of anti-narcissistic thing. But yeah, I love it. I love it. It's my favorite salad bowl. I applied a cobalt paint on the bisque, and then that went to I applied the cobalt paint before first firing, and then after first firing I applied a matte glaze, so that it has this almost like a porcelain kind of look, and I love it. Pottery is making me really happy. To be honest, the workshop instructor is really grumpy, and they are like really bad teachers, and they leave you alone most of the time, so you're on your own figuring things out. But I'm just happy there on my own figuring things out. I'm just doing whatever I want. I don't let anyone there tell me what to do now, because they didn't tell me what to do before. So now I'm basically doing what I want, and I'm really happy. It makes me really happy. It makes me really happy to create things that I can gift. This Sunday is Mother's Day, and I didn't remember when we booked our flights with Charlie, so actually I'm spending Mother's Day in Spain, and my kids are spending Mother's Day without me with my mom and Charlie's parents. They get along really well. So what I did is I made two beautiful bowls, and on Sunday the kids are going to surprise the grandmothers and they are going to give those to them. I hope they like them. Yeah, so that's it. I think that's everything I have to share with you today. Before leaving, I want to say something else about our little bag company, Joji & Co. Thank you if you have shopped with us this week and the past couple of weeks. We've been incredibly busy and so grateful. We never ever expected to be able to produce this many bags and to be able to give so many jobs here, and there are so many people working behind these bags, like from the product managers, my friends. We have 5 different workshops, of course not working full-time for us, but like creating products for us, the leather companies that source the leather for us, the zippers and the button company, and the canvas, the canvas company that makes all the container bags, the messengers, the people who sell us the shipping supplies. Honestly, I feel so great, and it's such a change for me because in the past I have collaborated with people for my work, and I know that I have produced work for someone else other than myself, but it's mainly just me doing my thing and like selling my products and, you know, keeping the earnings for myself, or you know, if I want to give something away, then that's my decision. With the bags, I feel like we're actually producing a lot of work here, and that makes me incredibly happy, incredibly proud, and we couldn't do this without your support. So thank you so much. We have sold a lot of bags a couple of weeks before this journal, and right now we decided to wait until November to do another update because we have to get a bit more stock, and we have been sending out orders to our retailers, so we're going to give them also some time to sell whatever they got from us. So that's going super well. It's taking a lot of my time too, but it's something good. It's something that makes me happy, and I know that I can come back to, you know, designing all the hours that I used to be designing, because that always makes me happy. But right now, about a third of my time goes into the bag business, and that makes me really happy. So thank you so much for watching my nighttime journal. I hope that my looks are not too terrible tonight, and I hope to see you when I come back from our trip. Bye bye.